Hi, I'm Bobby Harrison from the band Brit Floyd. We're currently on tour in Europe. It's our first European tour as Brit Floyd. Just going to walk you through my rig, my setup. Actually, over here I've got a Cornford MK50 Mark II head going into a 4x12 cabinet. But at the heart of my setup is the G system. In this case, it's the Red G System Limited. I mean, it's mainly a TC setup completely, because all my drive and distortion is coming from the Nova drive, with the exception of this Keeley fuzz, which I use for a couple of sounds, which I'll demonstrate, and the Keeley compressor, which I use for a couple of other sounds. Also got the polytune there. But what I love about the G system, well, it's everything really. But I'll just demonstrate a couple of sounds. The Pink Floyd song "Keep Talking," for example. So what I've got there is delay. Very little reverb at all, actually. Delay, modulation. I've got like a chorus, kind of a vintage chorus going on, and just a bit of mild overdrive from the Nova drive. There's also a couple of chords that kind of lead into that sequence. But I've got a much roomier reverb. And a bit more modulation. Just to demonstrate another sound, let's take something like Money, for example. This is another thing I love about the G system is the modulation. If you've got a tremolo sound in Money, and that's just basically the vintage. Is it the vintage? It's a hard tremolo, I believe it's called, from the G system. I've got a little bit of boost on there, some reverb, as you can hear, and just some very kind of mild, once again, very mild overdrive from the Nova drive. Elsewhere in that song, you have the solo. Where I've got some delay, quite a lot of reverb, as if you hear on the original recording, and I tend to boost my solos by about 4 dB. But then later on, there's a solo later on in the song where it just breaks down to a very kind of dry sound, no reverb at all. And that is, I'm just using some again, mild overdrive from the Nova drive, and this is where in loop 2 I have the Keeley fuzz head, which is just providing that kind of big muff, kind of fuzz face type sound, and just a little bit of boost. Elsewhere, see if I can demonstrate. In the previous solo I'm actually using distortion now. A lot of the lead sounds I use the distortion from the Nova drive. Let's have a look at something with a little bit more modulation. If we take the intro to "Shine on You Crazy Diamond," for example. So I'm using the compressor from the G system. I have, as you can hear, very kind of ambient reverb there. I believe that's a hall reverb. Quite a few delay repeats. And one of my favourite effects is the vintage phaser, which I really love because it's very much like a phase 90. So that's what's going on there. For the intro of the song, the slightly drier sound, and that's delay, a bit of ambient reverb, boost, just for the lead sound. And in this case, I've got the Keeley compressor in loop 1. It's just a compression sound that I'm used to, and it's nice to have the difference of compressors from switching from that first solo to very different sounds. A couple of other kind of interesting things. This is something that's not on an original recording, but we play one of these days in the set, and Damien's playing lap steel at the time, and underneath I'm just playing some chords, trying to kind of simulate a slide. This is where I use this expression pedal. Just as an expression pedal, basically. I use this pedal as a volume. So this is my expression pedal, and I'll do something like, hang on, there's no sound there. I'll do something like this. It's just a whammy effect, which is a whole tone below, and just bring it up to pitch by putting the toe down. Yeah, I love that, and other more ambient things, like if you take the song Pigs, for example, I do a lot of kind of swells. A lot of repeats there, very kind of ambient hall reverb I'm using for that, but it's a very, I love using the volume pedal on expression pedal as a volume pedal, because it's a very kind of smooth transition there. What else can I show you? Echoes, because we're playing the full version of Echoes on this tour, 23 minutes of it, and there's a sound effect in the middle which some people don't actually realise that it's a guitar, but what it is, what David Gilmour did is he plugged into a Crybaby, plugged into the output, and basically plugged into a Crybaby backwards. So I've got a Keeley modded Crybaby here, and what you do, it's going to be quite loud, but basically just kind of go with the volume pedal or the actual volume control. Just put my pick down there. The volume control on the guitar. And that's basically, I've got delay and reverb there for a bit of ambience and a bit of boost as well. But you can just manipulate the sound if you switch to different pickups. And just play around with the volume and tone controls on the guitar. But also, I mean, you can do a little bit from the wire itself, but you get a slightly higher pitch if you just kind of start with it in toe down position. That's the sound I try and go for, because it's kind of it's an F sharp note that you're supposed to kind of get at the start of that section, that kind of ambient section. So I have to kind of start like that. So that's quite an interesting effect that you probably wouldn't use anywhere else unless you're playing, Pink Floyd covers. What else have we got that's quite interesting here? The solo to Time, for example. I'm using the Keeley fuzz with this, with actually a bit of distortion from the Nova Drive. Just to kind of warm things up a little bit, because this fuzz can sound a little bit, kind of harsh. And as you hear, that a lot of delay repeats. I think I've got a tape delay on that sound, just to try and make it sound a bit more vintage. What else we got? Money. Also on songs like Another Brick in the Wall, for example, I play the fuzz line underneath it. Just in the verses, and I've got a pitch. I'm actually using the pitch unit, the pitch shifter. So you've got an octave above as well. I'm using the fuzz, a little bit of distortion, but the output on the distortion is quite low on this, because the sound itself needs to be it's kind of buried underneath the other guitar, so it's a relatively quiet sound. And I think I've got a bit of vintage phase on there as well. Or it might be flange actually, I'm not sure. What else? And Run Like Hell with the... I'll play that again, sorry. And in the verses we got... So what I'm doing there is there's a very subtle overdrive. That's the clean sound. This is some overdrive coming from the Nova system. A little bit of reverb. As you can hear, a lot of delay repeats there. That's just a digital delay, I believe, I'm using. Let's have a look. That's single delay, which I really like. And modulation, I'm just using the classic chorus, which you know, it's very kind of reminiscent of an early kind of Boss chorus. CE2, yeah, which are really hard to get hold of these days. Yeah, so it's a very kind of warm chorus sound. So that was a brief tour of my rig that I'm currently using on the Brit Floyd tour, using the G system and the Nova Drive.